presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
We're in San Francisco, where this long road trip continues, and the D-backs find themselves in the middle of a tug-of-war for the NL West title. After leaving L.A. and the division-leading Dodgers, we're at AT&T Park, where the Giants picked up a game on L.A. last night and are getting primed for a visit from the boys in blue this weekend. So the D-backs tonight with a chance to cut these Giants down to size right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from AT&T Park. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. Game 2 of 3 here, the D-backs and the Giants. Ryan Vogelsong for San Francisco, and Bob the Red Hot Josh Tolmenter for Arizona.
It's amazing how quickly things turned around for Josh. You think back to a few starts ago against the Miami Marlins. We thought his season might be over. No velocity, no command. But he's come back and had 3 of the best starts of his season recently. You see his numbers against the Giants in his career. Only 1 start, but has pitched really well, whether as a starter or as a reliever.
Yeah, 1.50 ERA in 12 innings against the Giants this year. He has been especially good, of course, in this new role for him. As a starting pitcher, the last 3 starts, he's unbeaten.
Yeah, he's only given up a couple of earned runs, has not surrendered a home run in his last 3 starts. I mean, there's been a lot of change with the team this year, a lot of change in that starting rotation. And once Josh Tolmenter stepped in there, he's been the one constant, the guy that you feel gives you a chance to win every time he takes the ball.
And a big innings increase for Josh over what he pitched last season, working exclusively out of the bullpen. Well, the Giants, it seems, depend to get their offense going on Angel Pagan, the real catalyst at the top of the order. But now in rookie second baseman Joe Panik, they found a number 2 hitter as well, and that combination was deadly here last night.
Yeah, the good news is the Diamondbacks pitchers did a real nice job against the middle of the Giants order. The bad news is they couldn't get the first 2 guys out. They combined for 9 hits in 10 at-bats last night. Got to do a better job against Pagan and Panik tonight.
So it's those 3 Ps really at the top of the order. Don't forget about Buster Posey. Those 2 guys get on base ahead of the Giants catcher. Posey back behind the plate tonight in San Francisco. Is he the MVP, or is it Kershaw or Stanton? We'll discuss when we come back from AT&T Park. Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. If the D-backs hit a home run today, score a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with a purchase of a large drink. Almost set for first pitch here at AT&T Park. Josh Colmenter warming up. That's a live shot in the Diamondback bullpen. He's up against right-hander Ryan Vogelsong. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly back with you here in our broadcast booth. A lot of talk around San Francisco lately that Buster Posey might be an MVP candidate. Well, of course, you've got Giancarlo Stanton and all those home runs and RBIs for the Marlins. Posey's done what he's done here. We know about Kershaw in L.A., Bob. This NL MVP race seems like a three-horse race.
Yeah, I mean, people in L.A. could possibly include Adrian Gonzalez for what he's done lately. Clayton Kershaw has just been off the charts good. You throw out that one bad game he had against the Diamondbacks, his numbers are even more impressive. Giancarlo Stanton must see baseball. This guy can hit the ball a mile, has improved every aspect of his game, base running, the defense, and of course Buster Posey. If the Giants should work their way back into winning this National League West, he's going to get huge support. You see what he's done his last 23. All three guys deserving candidates. I don't know if there's an odds-on favorite at this point.
Where are you with a pitcher being considered for the MVP in addition to the Cy Young?
I'm not a big fan of it. I think the pitchers have their own award. I don't think a guy should be penalized because he's a pitcher, but I think his numbers just have to be off the charts good. And as good as Kershaw has been, I don't think he's had the numbers to be an MVP.
We're almost set for first pitch here at AT&T Park. Josh Colmenter and Ryan Vogelsong, the D-backs and the Giants. Giants used to play, of course, back in the Bob Brenly days at the Stick. Well, Brad took a little tour of Candlestick Park right down the road here. We'll have that for you when we come back. Then it's 7:15 first pitch here in San Francisco.
Arizona, Brad Steinke here at AT&T Park. Some rather windy and blustery conditions for tonight's game, much like the conditions the Giants used to have all the time over at their old ballpark, Candlestick. Earlier today, we went over there to the ballpark that is set to be demolished in the next couple of months for one final farewell tour. Here we are in the field at Candlestick Park. Built back in 1960, this place has seen some incredible moments. The Beatles played here. The Pope visited here. Over there in what used to be right field, the Diamondbacks celebrated the 1999 NL West Championship. Of course, the Giants had some great years here, but really the San Francisco 49ers made a ton of fantastic moments happen right here on this turf. No tour of the stick would be complete without a stop in the 49ers locker room. This is where guys like Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Dwight Clark, and Ronnie Lott would get together and get ready to play out there on the field. Some incredible memories made here over the years at Candlestick Park. Well, believe it or not, the Giants haven't played here since 1999, but you can still see traces of the pitching mound. I'm joined now by Roger Revelle, who is the head's groundskeeper here at Candlestick Park. You've been here for over 30 years. Pretty amazing that you still see what used to be the Giants' infield.
Yeah, as the field has started to dry out, the diamond has reappeared, and you can clearly see the cutout for the bases, the arc of the infield, and the pitcher's mound. And I think as it dries, you'll see more and more of it. Candlestick doesn't want to give up baseball. Doesn't want, the ghost has appeared. The ghost of baseball has come back.
Now we're in the visitors' locker room, a pretty special place for the Arizona Diamondbacks because it was here back in 1999 when they celebrated their first ever National League West championship. There are plenty of modern stadiums out there. The 49ers now play at Levi Stadium. The Giants, of course, at AT&T. But for my money, nothing can beat Candlestick Park. I saw my very first ever Major League Baseball game here with my father, and I was privileged enough to be here at Game 3 when the World Series of 1989 resumed. Straight ahead, it's first pitch between the D-backs and Giants. Josh Colmenter looking for his 11th win of the season. Steve and Bob back with a call live from AT&T Park right here on Fox Sports Arizona.
On Fox Sports Arizona, Steve Berthew, Bob Brentley, Brad Stockey with you. The Diamondbacks find themselves in the middle of the fight for the NL West. We just left Los Angeles. Now we're here in San Francisco where these Giants begin tonight. Only 2.5 games behind the Dodgers for the division lead. LA hosting San Diego tonight. Dan Herron pitches for the Dodgers. Ian Kennedy for the Padres. And then LA is in here at AT&T Park for 3 games beginning Friday. And the Giants rolling right now. They've won 7 straight home games and 10 of their last 13 overall. So Kirk Gibson's Diamondbacks have their work cut out for them tonight, trying to snap this 4-game losing streak. A look at the National League West. Here it's Colmenter and Vogelsong in LA. It is Herron and Kennedy.
And we'll keep an eye on that ball game tonight and update you from time to time, as well as the Reno Aces Omaha Storm Chasers game tonight. Keep an eye on that one.
D-backs have 5 more games left this year against these Giants. 2 more here at AT&T Park this week, then 3 back home at Chase Field. D-backs 1-5 in their last 6 against the Giants, and San Francisco leads the season series so far 9-5. Out there to begin his warm-ups, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Giants. It's 37-year-old right-hander Ryan Vogelsong, his 29th start this year. And he's had mixed results lately. He has lasted fewer than 6 innings in 3 of his last 4 starts. Vogelsong's strength now from A.J. Pollock.
He's just really good location. You know, a lot of other guys have great location. The guy last night, you know, Petit was excellent too. So he throws a bunch of pitches at you, and he pinpoints it. And you know, you just really got to stay in your game plan and not chase his stuff out of the zone.
Well, 29 starts for Vogelsong this year. The Giants 14-14 when he's out there, which is kind of indicative of how he's pitched. You know, you'll like some of it, you won't like the rest of it, despite the fact that Vogelsong's strikeouts are up this year, and he's walking fewer batters and giving up fewer hits than he did last season.
And he has a propensity to give up the long ball. Last time out against Colorado Rockies, went only 5 innings, gave up 10 hits and 8 runs. 4 of those 10 hits left the ballpark.
And 3 previous starts against the D-backs this year, he has not pitched all that well against Arizona. Vogelsong 1-1. With an ERA right at 5.5. The lineup tonight for Kirk Gibson's Arizona Diamondbacks.
Ender Inciarte once again at the top of the order, playing left field. Aaron Hill with ridiculous career numbers against Vogelsong. Couple homers and 3 doubles among his 13 hits. Miguel Montero moves up to the 3 spot. Mark Trumbo cleaning up at first base. A.J. Pollock out in center field. Jake Lamb at third base. Alfredo Marte in right field. Didi Gregorius at shortstop. And right-hander Josh Colmenter on the mound for the D-backs.
Who are trying to get it going here. D-backs have lost 4 straight, 2-6 on the 10-game roadie so far, and we are set for baseball. The Giants and the Diamondbacks on Fox Sports Arizona. Strike 1 to Ender Inciarte. The crew chief Brian Gorman is behind the plate tonight. Inciarte 263 and now 4 home runs after hitting one into McCovey Cove last night. That was the only run given up in 9 innings against Yusmeiro Petit, who was outstanding for the Giants. And all smiles here after that effort last night.
I don't think there's a better day for a starting pitcher than the day after you've twirled a gem, like Yusmeiro Petit did last night. You know you have nothing to do, get a little running in, have a little lunch, come out and watch a big league hardball game.
Busman's holiday of sorts. 2 balls and a strike to Ender Inciarte. The home run last night is 4th of the year. The numbers on Petit.
That's about as an efficiently pitched game as you will ever see in this day and age.
84 pitches, 68 for strikes, an 84 pitch complete game. That is really hard to do. And Vogelsong not quite as efficient to open this one up. He is 3-1 on Inciarte.
Now you heard A.J. Pollock talking about his arsenal of pitches, and everything depends on his command, but Vogelsong will throw 3 different fastballs, a sinker, a cutter, and a 4-seamer. He'll mix in an occasional curveball, has a straight changeup. Every now and then he'll get around that cutter, make it look more like a legitimate slider, but he loses Inciarte here to a base on balls to start the game.
Good start for the D-backs, and here comes Aaron Hill, who has great career numbers, as Bob mentioned, against Ryan Vogelsong. So Aaron is in the 2-hole tonight with Inciarte aboard. Hill on the year, 246 and 10 homers. And look at these numbers against Ryan Vogelsong, over 500.
That's ownership right there. He definitely has the pink slip.
We'll keep an eye on Ender Inciarte, 14 of 17 in his stolen base attempts this year. There's a strike, 0-1. Aaron, 2 more hits in Saturday's game in L.A. In fact, back-to-back 2-hit games for Aaron Hill. After the off day on Monday, and sitting out last night's ball game, has had some time off, back at second base tonight. Cincinnati holds, swing and a miss. Hill quickly down 0-2. Aaron's had a hot bat lately, 7 hits and 3 RBIs in his last 4 games. He's got 2 doubles and a triple over that span. The wind is really gusting out to right center field right now. You get anything up in the air toward Triple's alley, it might carry over that brick wall out there. Although you got to hit it a long way.
Yeah, that's a blast out there to that 421 mark, just to the right of straightaway center field. That's why they call it Triple's Alley. And with that in mind, we talked about it last night. No reason to protect the right field line. If that ball's hit down in the corner, it's going to be a double. We'll try to take away 3 bases, so Hunter Pence is cheating over toward that gap in right center a little bit, willing to concede a double down the right field line to possibly take away a triple in the gap in right center.
Much closer to that 421 mark in right center field than he is the right field line. Let's see the wind blowing Vogelsong's uniform a bit. 0-2 to Aaron Hill. Inciarte on first, and he bluffs it first. That's on the ground to third, and they still might turn 2 here. There's the double play. Ender took off on the pitch, took about 2-3 steps, and then stopped. And quickly 2 down.
It would have been nice if he'd have kept going. He would have had the base stolen easily, at least a fielder's choice for Aaron Hill rather than the double play. But because Inciarte does stop, it allows the Giants to turn that one over, quickly erase that leadoff walk.
Pablo Sandoval, Joe Panik, Travis Ishikawa on the 5-4-3. 2 down now for Miguel Montero. Miggy hitting in the 3-hole tonight. And the first pitch is carved down the left field line and in the seats out of play. This is the Giants now behind Ryan Vogelsong, our mid-first bank starting defense.
Same outfield that we saw last night. Gregor Blanco in left, Angel Pagan in center, Hunter Pence over in right field. Little change in the infield. Sandoval once again at third base. Brandon Crawford at shortstop tonight. Joe Panik at second base. Travis Ishikawa at first base. Buster Posey moves back behind the plate tonight, and Ryan Vogelsong on the mound.
0-2 to Miguel Montero. Look back to Brian Gorman, the crew chief behind the plate. Miggy 252 and 13 home runs. Bouncer to second, the rookie Joe Panik. A leadoff walk does not come back to bite Vogelsong. We are just underway in San Francisco. For the first inning, Diamondbacks and Giants no score. Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the D-backs is Josh Comenter. His 25th start this year, that's a career high. A win tonight would be his 11th of the year. Also, a new career high. Keys tonight for Josh from his catcher Miguel Montero.
He needs to command his fastball. His fastball command needs to be there. And, work ahead in the count. When he works ahead in the count, it's a lot of windows opens up for him and a lot of different options to go and get the guy out. When he falls behind, there's not much we can do. Because, like, we all know he's not a powering guy that is going to over-challenge anybody. You just have to make every pitch.
Well, a good start here against Angel Pagan, the leadoff man. Right back to the mound. They keep Pagan off the bases, which is always a good thing. Quickly one down. Josh Comenter worked exclusively out of the bullpen last year, finished the season having pitched 92 innings. He's at 151 as we begin tonight, so he's already, Bob, 59 innings over what he threw last year.
Wow, and other than that one little hiccup against the Marlins a few starts ago, he pitched some of his best baseball recently. 2-0 in his last 3 starts, only 2 earned runs in 21 2/3 innings. And I find this amazing. He's only given up 1 hit to right-handed batters over his last 3 starts.
He has been excellent. Fastball command is key, as Miggy mentioned. Last 3 starts, 2 walks and 16 strikeouts for Josh. Here's the man who had the 5 for 5 last night, rookie Joe Panik. Panik on the streets of London. I wonder to myself, could life ever be sane again? That's what Morrissey sang with the Smiths. Don't panic. A career high 5 hits last night. The pop up third base side, Lamb and Gregorius. It's Didi. 2 down. The lineup for Bruce Bochy, San Francisco Giants.
Well, we've seen Pagan at the top and Panik in the 2-hole. Buster Posey making his way to the plate right now. Pablo Sandoval once again at third base. Hunter Pence out in right field. Gregor Bronco in left field. Travis Ishikawa at first base. Brandon Crawford at short. And Ryan Vogelsong, the righty, on the mound.
There's Buster Posey, the hottest hitter in baseball right now. So hot, in fact, he had 2 RBIs last night without the benefit of a base hit. He was 0 for 4. .306, 20 home runs, now 81 RBI. And has played his way back into the MVP discussion if the Giants do indeed catch the Dodgers and win the National League West. This guy's going to make a pretty strong and convincing case. It usually happens when teams win divisions, especially when they come from way behind. And Posey has been leading the charge here. It's 2 balls and a strike.
Man, don't be surprised if Josh Comenter pitches Buster Posey very carefully. 8 for 11 lifetime with a couple of homers. The guy in the on-deck circle, Pablo Sandoval, very much a free swinger, a guy that Josh might be able to have an easier time getting out. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Josh fish around in here.
And he's behind, sure enough. 3 balls and a strike. Buster Posey was not even an all-star this year. Sandoval on deck. Now he's being talked about as maybe an MVP. That tells you what kind of second half he's had. It's 3-2. Posey hit .277 during the first half of the year, but he is over .360 since the All-Star break. Lowe's never stop improving player of the game. How about this? 24 RBIs in his last 23 games while hitting almost 400. And he has scored 22 runs over that span. 3-2 pitch. Off the fist with a pop-up into shallow left center. Gregorius roaming way out there, but here comes a charging Ender Inciarte to haul that one in. Comenter a 1-2-3 first. No score here at AT&T Park. home, taking on the Padres. Game 1 for you here on Fox Sports Arizona, Friday, 6 o'clock. Game 2 is on Fox Sports 1 at 5. Then Game 3 back home on Fox Sports AZ starting at 12:30. Ready for the second inning here in San Francisco. Mark Trumbo, A.J. Pollock, Jake Lamb, 4, 5, and 6 against Ryan Vogelsong. Happy anniversary in Tucson, Mom and Dad.
68 years. Wow.
Pretty impressive.
That is real impressive. Congratulations.
I don't know many people that have done anything for 68 years. Trumbo, 233, 8 home runs. He was 0 for 3 last night. Mark Trumbo has now played exactly 50 games since he returned from the DL. He's got 1 homer and 20 RBIs in those 50 games, a batting average just over 240 since he returned from the foot injury. And I think still trying to find himself up there a bit. He seems, Bob, kind of lost between the power hitting all or nothing identity he had when he was in Anaheim and the more complete use all fields kind of guy he wants to be, who walks more, doesn't strike out as much. He seems kind of caught in between those two personalities.
A couple of fly balls to the outfield last night, one to center, one to left, and in both cases it looked like the ball was going to travel when it left his bat, but just got out there in the heavy San Francisco mist and died well short of the warning track in both cases.
Draws a leadoff walk, second straight inning that Vogelsong has opened up with a base on balls.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
You think that's an easy trap for a hitter to fall into when he does one thing better than some other part of his game, and he might try and be a more complete guy or a different guy and then sort of loses track of, in a sense, what got him here?
Yeah, I think it can be problematic, especially since Mark Trumbo was brought on board initially to use a cliche, provide protection for Paul Goldschmidt, have another power hitter in the lineup that an opposing team would have to reckon with. And you know, I give him a lot of props for trying to cut down on his strikeouts, try to be more selective at the plate. But that being said, he was brought over here to hit the ball in the seats.
27 games since Mark's last home run, his only homer since returning from the DL. Vogelsong having trouble locating here. He's behind on Pollock 2-0. And Mark Trumbo says he was brought here to do a job. And that's in a nutshell, to hit home runs, hit doubles, hit for power. He's been a more complete hitter, just not quite knocking him in like they thought he might. 2-1 now. AJ in the meantime back in the lineup. He's hit in 4 straight.
Maybe an extreme example, but for example, if you traded for Aroldis Chapman and he came to your ball club and said, I'm working on a screwball, I'm going to throw an 80-mile-an-hour screwball this year, I want to be a more complete pitcher. Well, no. Not why we brought you over here.
Well, I know in talking to Mark, he does not want to be known as an all-or-nothing guy. And in large part, that's what he was in Anaheim. 30 home runs, write it in, and, you know, close to 200 strikeouts, whatever. And that bothered him. He wanted to be a guy that didn't strike out as much, that walked more, that used the whole field and didn't just pull everything. And between that and the foot injury, cost him almost 3 months. He really kind of lost course there. And the compass is a bit off. 3-2 now to A.J. Pollock.
And ideally, moving forward, it's not either or.
Right.
Either you're an opposite field singles hitter or you're a home run hitter. Ideally, you get to the place where if they pitch you away, you shoot the ball to right field and take your base hits. If they make a mistake from the middle of the plate in, you put a good power hitter swing on that ball and hit it out of the ballpark. That's the ultimate goal, I think, not only for Mark Trumbo, but for a lot of hitters.
Trumbo takes off on the 3-2, hard to third, Sandoval. They can't turn the double play, but they do get the force on Trumbo at second as the rookie Joe Panik did a nice job of getting the foot down on the bag with big Mark Trumbo bearing down on him.
Boy, nice job by Trumbo to get on Panik quickly down there at second base and force him to get up in the air. By the time he gets back down on the ground with A.J. Pollock's speed, he's going to leg out that fielder's choice. Ooh, Sandoval's throw kind of led Panik right into the sliding runner that time.
Well, after the leadoff walk to begin the ball game against Inciarte, Vogelsong got the 5-4-3 behind him. This inning, however, they couldn't quite turn it. So AJ's on first with 1 out for Jake Lamb. And Pollock coming off that groin that kept him out a few games. 9 for 10 this year in the stolen base department. Jake Lamb, 197, 2 homers. He's got hits in each of the last 2 games. Speaking of power, Jake Lamb is a guy that hit over 320 in the minor leagues in his career. Piled up the extra base hits and the RBIs at Mobile this season. The power really showed up. As Pollock takes off, little excuse me check swing. The Panda has to come in and can't throw him out. Jake Lamb's aboard. And the Diamondbacks have 2 on with 1 out. They started the runner that time and it paid off.
You see A.J. Pollock getting a good jump over there at first base. A little check swing, almost a swinging bunt to the left side of the infield. By the time Sandoval can react, Lamb is able to leg it out. A.J. was sliding into second base. Didn't immediately realize what was going on in the middle of the infield.
A chance for Alfredo Marte. Pollock at second, Lamb at first, 1 out. We'll see if Marte can connect. He looks at strike 1. Alfredo, 184, couple of home runs this year. He is 0 for his last 12. Talked a lot, Bob, about some of the young guys the Diamondbacks have, and Jake Lamb and Chris Owings and on down the list. Where are you with Alfredo Marte?
Haven't seen enough with the bat to justify a roster spot for him moving forward. Obviously, when he makes contact, as we saw in spring training, he can hit the ball a long way, but he's got a lot of holes in that swing, and major league pitchers are going to exploit those holes as they have done this year.
250 with runners in scoring position. Marte has been getting a semi-consistent looks here, especially since his latest recall from the minor leagues. He's played 23 games, 18 starts, and hit under 150. And the contact has been an issue. When he hits it, it goes, but it just hasn't happened quite enough.
And there were some other options tonight as well. We were talking about it before the ball game. Jordan Pacheco, who rarely gets to start a ball game, is 5 for 11 lifetime against Ryan Vogelsong with 3 doubles and a home run. Could have had some chicanery, put Pacheco at first, move Trumbo back to left, put Pacheco in left, put Pacheco in right. I mean, he's that versatile. You can play him anywhere on the field, but Marte gets the start, which tells me that there's something there that they want to see.
And Alfredo had a good year when he's been with AAA Reno this year. Hit a lot with the Aces, 319, 11 home runs, a 400 on base percentage. Slugged well over 500. And we've seen occasional glimpses of that here at this level. But more often than not, it's been about making consistent contact. He's off that one there, and he's ahead 3-1. Vogelsong has already walked 2 in the ball game so far. Didi Gregorius on deck. 4 3-ball counts now and 7 hitters for the Diamondbacks. There go the runners, and this is popped up to right center field. Hunter Pence. And Pollock and Lamb have to scamper back. That's the second out. So it's 2 on, 2 out for Didi, who was 0 for 3 last night. Gregorius 205 on the year and 6 homers. And in talking to Kurt Gibson before the ball game today, Bob, they said they have worked a lot with Didi on keeping his hands above the ball to try and get him shorter and quicker. Does that translate for you?
I think without talking more about it, I'm not sure exactly what that would accomplish.
Gibby said sometimes if he gets his hands down, it's not a direct path to the ball, but if he keeps them up, he can kind of chop down and be shorter and quicker. That's the way he explained it to me today.
Well, I would definitely defer to those guys because they have spent countless hours looking at video, not only of opposing teams, but of their own guys, trying to find the holes in the swing, find the weaknesses, find areas that maybe you could tighten up a little bit and make things a little easier for our own hitters. So I would definitely defer to the guys that have been doing that homework.
Hands above the ball. They have been over and over that with him, they say. That's really what they're working on now with Didi, trying to get him to have that thought in his head. And there's Alan Trammell right there. They said if his hands are above the ball, he can just kind of chop at it quicker. And that's the motion Tram seems to be making right there. 2 balls and a strike.
The thing for me about Didi is he has a power hitter swing. He's got a lift swing, especially on pitches down and in, and we've seen him put a charge on the ball when it's down in that location. But unfortunately, once again, opposing pitchers know that. They know where his hot zone is, and they're rarely going to go to that spot.
Is that what's known as having holes in your swing? If you know there are spots where you can get them out, then you go to those spots, right?
Absolutely.
Stay away from the strengths and attack the weaknesses. Vogelsong just having a problem throwing strikes.
Of course, the wild card is always the fact that pitchers make mistakes. If pitchers never made any mistakes, every game would be 0-0 in the 9th. If you hit your spot all the time, with all the advanced scouting and video scouting, everybody knows where the weaknesses are in a hitter's swing. But pitchers make mistakes. They hang breaking balls. That sinker trails back over the plate a little bit too much. That slider doesn't take the bite the way it's supposed to. And when those mistakes are made, you have to be ready to punish them as a hitter.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 outs. Pollock, the runner at second, Lamb at first. They'll be off of the pitch. There go the runners. Ball 4. He did not go, says Jim Wolf down at third. So the bases are loaded for Josh Colmenter. 3 walks already for Ryan Vogelsong through 1 2/3. Pollock at third, Lamb at second, and Gregorius at first. So we'll see if Josh can bang one through the infield here. He's got 6 hits this season. This looks a lot like Wade Miley last night. Having a problem throwing strikes.
Boy, such a complete reversal of what we saw from Yusmeiro Petit last night. I mean, I say pitchers make mistakes. I don't know that he made any mistakes last night. That was about as solid an outing as I've seen from any pitcher this year.
Well, Vogelsong has been an up and down guy this summer. He was 0-4 in 5 starts in July. But then for the most part pitched very well in August. Colmenter this year, 333. The bases loaded. Did not go Tony Randazzo at first. 40 pitches already for Ryan Vogelsong. 3-1.
Yeah, for me, this is absolutely a take situation right here as Tim Lincecum takes off his jacket. Looks like he's about to head down to that bullpen down the left field line.
He has become the long man in that Giant bullpen. 3 balls and a strike to Josh Colmenter. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Here it is. Strike.
Even though that's a very hittable fastball in the 3-1 count. Now in the full count with 2 outs, you'll get the runners in motion. If Josh can put that ball in play, find some grass out there in the outfield, might score a couple.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bases full. There go the runners. Bounce to third. Sandoval. Vogelsong loads them up, but escapes, still scoreless in San Francisco. Visit your local Circle K for details. With the purchase of a 20-ounce Pepsi, you can win tickets to Super Bowl 49 in Arizona this February. Some D-backs fans down there having their pictures taken with Jim Weber. Good call.
Photobombing him. There's Jim on the right.
He is a tremendous fan and part of the Diamondback family. He's at about 100 games a year, home and away. And he is an absolute joy to be around, talk to. He and his wife Cindy, a lot of fun. Down there freezing in San Francisco. It is cold and blustery down there. Very nice and warm up. Here's Pablo Sandoval leads off the home half of the second. The Panda 286 and 16 homers. Hitless last night, did have a couple of walks, one with the bases loaded. Oh, it hit him, says Brian Gorman. I don't think that hit him, frankly. We'll see. Nope, didn't touch him. Putting on a pretty good show, though. That's pleasant.
What in the world?
Is there a chance he dislocated the pinky just kind of leaning backward?
I wouldn't think so. That would be a first.
You can challenge this. Hit by pitch is reviewable. That never touched him.
No. Boy, and he is going to great lengths to sell the fact that it did hit him. The trainer came out, his manager came out, took off his batting glove. Now Kirk Gibson has had enough time for Alan Campbell to take a look at that particular play, and we'll see if Diamondbacks are going to challenge or not. I tell you, if it didn't hit him, he sold it well. He reacted right away, shook his hand. I mean, usually it takes a second or two for it to dawn on you. Hey, if I fake like that hit me, I could get on first base. But he reacted right away. Must have been something there we did not see.
Like the ball hitting him.
Yeah.
Hunter Pence. That pinky finger didn't look good, I can tell you that. But clearly never touched him.
And it's not like Pablo Sandoval to give away an at-bat. He would rather stay up there and hit.
Weird, wild stuff. Double play potential here. It backs up Lamb. They'll get one, and that's it. The Diamondbacks behind Josh Coleman enter our mid-first bank starting defense.
Enter Inciarte in left, A.J. Pollock in center, Alfredo Marte in right. It'll be Lamb and Gregorius on the left side, Aaron Hill and Mark Trumbo on the right side, with Miguel Montero doing the catching for right-hander Josh Coleman.
Here's left-hander Gregor Blanco. With Hunter Pence the runner at first and one out. Keep an eye on Pence. He's got 13 stolen bases this year. He's kind of like Goldie that way. He's a sneaky base stealer. He was very good in that department last year. Meanwhile, Blanco's had hot that lately. A pair of hits last night. He scored a run. He has hit safely in 11 of his last 12 games and is batting over .370 during that span. Now they're getting the details on Sandoval's finger. It sure looks like something happened to the finger, right? When he leaned back somehow, something. 1-0 to Blanco. Blanco hit just over .220 in the first half of the year. But he is hitting over .320 since the All-Star break. With Morse and Belt out of the lineup, this guy has really chipped in and done a good job. Brandon Belt has not played since August 6th. He was out with a concussion and has since had some vision issues. They had hoped Mike Morse would be in the lineup by this week. He's not ready yet. He's had an oblique. Here's Morse, had a cortisone shot on Friday. Still not able to go. Two balls and one strike. Hunter Pence the runner at first. Blanco shows bunt, pulls back. It's 3-1. Don't forget, day game tomorrow. We come your way at high noon on Fox Sports Arizona in the series finale against these Giants. And then finally it's back home to Chase Field after this long three-city road trip. Randall Delgado and Jake Peavy in the series finale. Three and one. There goes Pence. Blanco on the ground to second. Aaron Hill will have to settle for one. Pence got too good a jump and the ball was hit too slowly.
was aware that Hunter Pence was on the move. You can see that out of your peripheral vision as you're watching into the hitting zone. And as you mentioned, the ball just wasn't really hit hard enough to even attempt to get the force at second base. So Aaron Hill wisely just took the sure out at first base.
Travis Ishikawa, the first baseman, 263, 2 homers. He has played in 34 games with the Giants this year and has done well with San Francisco. Started the year with the Pirates. And this is his 8th start this year at first base with San Francisco. Started 10 games at first with Pittsburgh earlier this year.
It's not uncommon for Ishikawa to come into ball games when Buster Posey starts at first base. If the Giants have a lead late in the ball game and Buster Posey's spot is not due to come up, Ishikawa usually comes in to play defense. Really a good glove man down there at first base.
He was originally a 21st round pick with the Giants in 2002 out of Federal Way, Washington, and was their first baseman for a couple of seasons, 2009 and 10. Hit about 260 over those 2 years, only 12 home runs, and then eventually gave way to Brandon Belt. Was with the Pirates and now back with the Giants.
Inside move to second base there. Not really designed to pick Hunter Pence off of second base because neither middle infielder broke for the bag, but ideally you just shorten up his lead by a step in case the ball is hit to the outfield. You'll give your guys a better chance to throw him out at the plate.
Big swing and a miss on the 2-0. 2 balls and a strike. Josh Colmenter coming off that win at San Diego last week, allowed only 1 run on 5 hits in 7. His 10th win. That matches a career high set when he was a rookie in that 2011 season. He's behind on Ishikawa, 3-1. Brandon Crawford, the shortstop, is on deck. First walk issued by Colmenter. Josh not super sharp as of yet. 14 strikes and 12 balls so far. So 2 on, 2 out for Crawford. 232 and 8 home runs. If Colmenter has trouble this year, it's usually in the first 3 innings. Josh has allowed 70 runs this year. Of those 70 runs, 45 have come in the first 3 innings of the ball game. So if he can settle in and get through 3, he's usually good to go. And he's up there against the slumping Crawford, who's hit under 220 since the All-Star break.
With runners in scoring position, Crawford looking to ambush the first fastball in the strike zone. So Josh Colmenter starts him with a 79-mile-an-hour changeup. Had Crawford way out in front.
Crawford has been bothered recently by some right shoulder soreness. He's not the starting lineup last night. 1-1 now. He says it actually affects his throwing more than anything else. Wasn't exactly going gangbusters before the All-Star break. Did have 7 homers, but he is under 220 in the second half of the year. Two balls and a strike. Pitchers due up. Pence at second, Ishikawa at first. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Changeup.
Back to the changeup again in a hitter's count, 2-1. You heard Miguel Montero talking about a key for Josh Colmenter is fastball command, but when you're not commanding that fastball and you fall behind in the count, it's nice to have a secondary weapon to go to other than just pump fastballs in there when you're behind in the count.
And he strikes out Crawford to strand 2. We head to the third at AT&T Park. No score.
A little later, guys have been coming early. We've put a lot of work into it. We've been having good hitters meetings before the game, and sometimes I think you get overconsumed with the information, and we just try to give them a little more time to relax today. Came in, had a shorter pregame before the game starts.
D-back skipper Kirk Gibson with our Geico quote of the game. Gibby has a pretty good feel for the pulse of this team. They're a little road weary right about now, so today he shook up the routine a little bit. Normally they'll take the team bus over here at 1 o'clock, some early BP at 2, but he sent out a memo just saying, guys, stay away from the ballpark, get here at 3, and we'll go from there. Just trying to re-energize this team, and he said we'll see if it works, but he's always pretty good about trying to change the dynamic. He feels his team is a little sluggish.
Well, there's no question, Brad. It's been a long trip here. San Diego for 4, LA for 3, and now here in San Francisco in Ciarte. Thrown out by Crawford to open up the third. Yeah, everybody got a text today. Do not show up before 3 per Gibby. Relax, kick back, take a break.
Didn't need to tell me.
What do you think about that?
You do have to have kind of a feel for when you're just banging your head against a wall and not getting the results you're looking for. I mean, everybody has worked hard this year. I don't think there's any question about that. I think they've tried to dot every I and cross every T and make sure that they use all the information at their disposal. But at some point, you wonder if it's not being counterproductive, or as Gibby said, just giving them too much information. So let's back off for a day or two and see how that works.
Diamondbacks 2-6 on the 10-game road trip with 2 more left to go tonight and tomorrow against the Giants. And it's been a tough haul here. There's a little flare out to center for Pagan, 2 down. D-backs have lost 24 of their last 35 and trying to snap a 4-game losing streak tonight. Also got a day game tomorrow, noon start or noonish. Miguel Montero batting third tonight. Rounded out his first time.
I think it just speaks to how routine oriented these guys are that a late day was 3 o'clock before a 7:15 game.
First pitch, Blanco tracks it down, and it's a nice, tidy, quick inning for Ryan Vogelsong. No score in San Francisco. Friday, September 26th, Oktoberfest at Chase Field, presented by Ballpark Brand. You can break out your lederhosen and get the polka records going as you enjoy a special beer garden in our Chase Field Upper Concourse. Plus, you'll get this great D-back ceramic Oktoberfest Stein when you purchase a special event ticket package. Don't forget, fans, you got to get the special event ticket package to get your D-backs Oktoberfest beer Stein. So visit dbacks.com/events. That's a date that you circle on the old calendar. You know how to say calendar in German. I was looking up German phrases during the commercial break. I wasn't able to cross the goal line on that one. Ryan Vogelsong leads off the third.
Pretty sure beer is beer. They just spell it differently.
The international language. Well, we know how they say it in Australia. Well, you know, the ad. Beer.
Thought you were going to refer to the specific brand, which in Australia I found out is bogus.
They don't drink Foster's down there?
No, not at all.
Silver bullet here, Coors Light. A two-hopper right to Didi Gregorius, who throws it on. So you had a bad beer experience in Australia?
No, it wasn't bad at all. I'm strictly a local connoisseur while we were over there in Australia, but I did ask one of the bar hops there one night, what about Foster's? Oh, don't even mention it. I didn't.
Well, a marketing campaign would lead one to believe otherwise.
You would think it's, what's that other stuff they eat? I'm drawing a blank on it now. Vegemite and Foster's. I thought all Australian kids were raised on that.
That might kill you right there. Pagan. They had this these cookies down there called Tim Tams.
Oh, I had some of those.
Oh, we brought back like 6 boxes of them. Got them in the airport. Pagan drops that one into left center for a 1-out single. First hit for the Giants against Josh Colminter. Yeah, we're still eating the Tim Tams back at the house. So Pagan has now hit safely in 17 of 19, coming off his 4-hit night last night. And here's the guy that topped that with 5 hits, the rookie Joe Panik.
Yeah, Giants don't run a lot, as you mentioned. When Hunter Pence was on base, he's a guy you need to pay some attention to. He has 13 steals on the season. Pagan on it first now has 14. Also, Gregor Blanco has 14. But the Giants have only stolen 51 bases. Not a big part of their arsenal. Although it looks like Pagan wants to run over there at first base.
He is 14 for 19 this year. By the way, did you see this about Panik's night last night in the notes? Last night, his 5 for 5 was historic because he didn't score a run, didn't have an RBI, did not have an extra base hit. 5 for 5 all singles. No player had ever recorded at least 5 hits in a game without scoring or driving in a run since the RBI became a stat in 1920. According to Elias. So that makes Joe Panik's 5 for 5 the quietest 5 for 5 in baseball history. But he'll take it. And he's got now 14 hits in 7 games in September so far. That was his 5th multi-hit game this month.
The late, great Harry Carey had a line about that regarding the Cubs offense. He called it the Rush Street attack. Lots of singles, very little scoring.
Cub fan Budman. Keeping a close eye on Pagan. Panik's 5 hits last night made him the first Giants rookie with a 5-hit game since Fred Lewis back in May of 07. A first-round pick 3 years ago out of St. John's from Yonkers, New York. Gibson before the ball game today was talking about looking at tape on Joe Panik. Diamondback coaches were impressed. They like what they see with this guy's swing. Good contact guy, can drive the ball to all fields. Good number 2 hitter. Not a power hitter per se, but he'll hit line drives. And since the beginning of August, he's hitting over 400. Misses inside, 2 balls and a strike. Panik on the streets of London. I wonder to myself, could life ever be sane again?
I'm more of a Panik in Detroit guy. David Bowie.
I went with Morrissey and the Smiths. Pagan bluffs and holds. 3-1 now to Joe Panik.
Well, the Giants just came from Detroit on their last road trip, so you actually had Panik in Detroit.
That's nicely done right there. He has hit safely, Joe Panik, in 11 of his last 12 games, and he's done a really good job hitting in the 2 spot for Bruce Bochy recently. Good contact guy, good hit and run bat in that spot. Hits lefties very well, so it seems like the Giants may have found their number 2 hitter for the long term here in rookie Joe Panik.
Well, you talked about it last night. That had been a black hole for them. They tried just about everybody in the organization out there, including some guys that weren't with the organization.
Pagan running on the pitch, and he's in there with his 15th stolen base. Panik swung through that one to run the count to 3-2, but Pagan is in at second.
Short hop throw to Didi, who keeps his glove right down there at base level. Applies the tag up on the upper thigh as Pagan goes in hard. Looked like he was safely under the tag there, but Kirk Gibson's going to come out and have a word with home plate umpire Brian Gorman.
And they're going to keep a close eye on Pagan, who looks to be okay down there. He missed almost 2 full months with back inflammation earlier this year. And now Gibby wants to go out and chat with David Rackley down there at second. And they are are going to put on the headphones.
Yeah, it looks like contact was made right there on the thigh. I mean, a microsecond before his foot hit the bag. But is that clear and convincing evidence to the people that are looking at this replay back in New York?
We'll find out. The review is underway. Diamondbacks challenge.
Well, that was a real nice play by Didi. I mean, that short hop throw coming from the catcher, the natural instinct for an infielder is to start low and then adjust to the throw. If you start with your glove low and come up and catch that throw, now you have to go back down with the tag, and they have indeed called Pagan out at second base.
That might be the fastest replay review we've seen all year.
How about that?
Nice job again by Alan Campbell, the Diamondback video coordinator. He has made some excellent calls lately. And so that's a caught stealing for Pagan. 6th time this year Pagan's been thrown out. And now Panic is up there in a full count. Nobody on and 2 outs. There is no Court of Appeals, Angel Pagan. That's it. I think he's looking for a lawyer down there.
It's a second opinion.
But Panic works the 2-out walk. That brings up Posey. Second walk issued by Coleminter. Posey flied out his first time, 0 for 1. There's a strike, 0-1. Panic will stay put at first. Buster Posey back on August 19th. Was hitting .279 for the season, but since then he has raised his batting average. 27 points in only 17 games. He has hit since August 19th a staggering .465. That's 17 games with 14 extra base hits, including 7 homers. Giants have won 11 of those 17 games. 2-1. I'll make you the GM of the Giants tomorrow. Posey your catcher or your first baseman?
Can he be both?
Well, yeah.
I'd like a pocket full of Posies.
Who wouldn't?
And I think that's probably what's going to evolve here. I think the Giants really like Andrew Susac, who is basically Buster's backup at this point, but they really like his game defensively behind the plate. He swung the bat enough to be a threat up there at the plate. He's hit .271, and that gives Buster the opportunity from time to time to get out from behind the plate, go down there and play some first base. I think it really all hinges on where they think they are with Brandon Belt moving forward.
2-2 is swung on, driven to left field, but right at Ender Inciarte. And that's the inning. We'll head to the 4th. No score in San Francisco. Get on the Twitter with a hashtag and the whole thing AZ fan photo for your chance to have your fan photo shown in our upcoming broadcast, which well, it's in progress, in fact. So a couple of innings. We'll take a look at tonight's winner, brought to us by AT&T. The fog, BB, is moving in here.
Boy, that's a familiar sight here in San Francisco. Brad Steinke did such a great report from Candlestick Park earlier today. If he was over there right now, you wouldn't be able to see him.
Mark Trumbo takes the first pitch and hits it right to Blanco. One pitch, one out in the fourth. 5 in a row now, set down by Vogelsong. Yes, there it is, blowing in now right over center field. Coming in from the third base side and headed out to the ocean. And the wind is gusting too.
At Old Candlestick, it used to come over the third base side roof like a waterfall. It would come down across the upper deck and then down over the lower seating areas, then on across the field.
A.J. Pollock reached on a fielder's choice his first time. Each team with just one hit so far. Jake Lamb an infield single. Angel Pagan had a one-out single in the third.
We had a shot of a gentleman sitting on the third base side of the field. Obviously got off at the wrong stop on the BART train. I mean, everybody in the ballpark is wearing black and orange except for that guy. Man, like a neon sign down there.
He stands out, huh? We had the A's game on up here earlier. Samardzija was pitching.
Yeah, Samardzija went 7 innings of shutout baseball, left with a 1-0 lead, but the White Sox have come back to score a couple of runs. It's the top of the 9th now. Oakland trailing by a run.
Now that guy in the A's helmet, when I was a kid, we would get those plastic helmets at the games. Yeah. It looks like that. I mean, they were really uncomfortable. But when you're a kid, you don't care.
They look cool.
Yeah, you wear it until it falls off your head and cracks when it hits the ground. But he seems to be quite comfortable wearing his. He's well protected.
We used to call those wiffle ball helmets. They're good for wiffle ball. Not much else. Oakland with a 2-game lead in that American League wild card, just staggering to the finish line.
Things really changed for them, I think, when they traded Cespedes. They were in first place. They had acquired Samardzija. They got Hamill, and then they went out and got Lester, and they just lost the game. Whiteside. That guy's probably getting the score on his phone. They just lost in Chicago. He seems to be taking it well. 3-2 to AJ. They did not go, says Tony Randazzo. I mean, they made their move. They got, they traded Addison Russell, who's going to be a tremendous shortstop prospect to the Cubs, and they got the 2 pitchers. And then Billy Beane went out and got one more guy, and it seems to have changed the dynamic on that team. That's 4 walks handed out by Vogelsong. Pollock's on first, 1 out for Jake Lamb, who's got the Diamondbacks' only hit. There goes AJ. The throw from Posey is not in time. And AJ Pollock has his 10th stolen base.
I like it. Got a little bit of speed in the lineup tonight with AJ and Inciarte. AJ got himself a real nice jump, steals this one easily. When your offense has been sputtering and struggling to score runs, struggling to put things together over the course of an inning, I'm all for starting runners. Put some pressure on the defense, maybe open up some holes for the hitter. The guys that are fast enough to steal a base can get themselves into scoring position. I like it.
I've got Lamb, who's up there 4 for 19 on the road trip. He's got hits in each of his last 3 games now. Another part of that equation, of course, is Vogelsong, who, if he's going to walk 4 through 3 1/3, you have to make him pay the price. And the Diamondbacks have yet to do that, but a chance to get the game's first run across right here. Well hit down the right field line, but he just pulled it foul. Well, it didn't quite make the water on the fly like Ender and Ciartes did yesterday.
Just a little bit too quick that time. Got a lot of side English on that ball, hooking the whole way off the bat.
Just banged it off that back fence. "60 pitches for Vogelsong, only 32 for strikes. He's walked 4.
Yeah, this is one of those nights over at Old Candlestick. Before we would leave the dugout to take our defensive positions every inning, everybody chase everything. Because that wind would get inside the bowl that was Candlestick Park and swirl around. There was no consistency with what a ball was going to do when it was hit in the air. So the rally cry was everybody chase everything.
That fog is just blowing through here. And you can see right there the flags. It is blowing out dead straight out to right center. Really keep your hands warm enough to text. Will the thrill. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Jake Lamb. The bouncer to second. This will get Pollock into third as Panic throws him out. 2 down.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
2 down, A.J. Pollock at third. It's Alfredo Marte who flied out his first time. Dodgers are leading the Padres in LA right now, 1-0. Dan Herron and Ian Kennedy. Giants 2.5 back of LA for the NL West lead. Dodgers are in for 3 this weekend here at AT&T Park. Bounced over the mound, Brandon Crawford. Marte 0 for 2 so far. They strand the runner at third. No score in San Francisco.
AT&T Park. One can only imagine what it's like over there at Candlestick. Earlier today, some of our crew, our director Mitch Riggin, our pregame producer Brian Henry, had a chance to go over there and check out the facility that is soon to be demolished. The Niners played there last year. They're gone. The last event to be held there August 14th. Paul McCartney closed out the long and legendary tenure of Candlestick Park inside the San Francisco 49ers locker room. They won 5 world championships there, but just kind of a nice trip down memory lane. But as Bob Brenly told us at the top of the broadcast, not the greatest place to play. A little bitter cold over there, guys.
It looks great now. It looks, I mean, it in a weird way, it looks.
Yeah, nostalgia is a wonderful thing.
Isn't it, Brad? I mean,
yes.
And it has that, too. Just looking at those pictures, you do get the sense of place there, don't you?
Oh, you really do. And I mentioned it before, the hardiest baseball fans in the world. You really had to want to go to a ball game there. I used to have friends that came out from Ohio in the summertime, and, you know, they assumed they're coming to California. They packed their shorts and their flip-flops and their T-shirts, and I told them, no, dress like you're going to an Ohio State-Michigan football game. And they used to laugh at me until they got there. Blankets and hand warmers and gloves and toboggan caps. You needed all of it in August.
Was it in any way an advantage?
Well, it kind of turned into an advantage. When Al Rosen took over as the general manager and Roger Craig took over as the manager, they basically said, we refuse to allow you guys to use this as an excuse anymore. If anything, we should use it to our advantage. Because that was back in the day when teams from the East Coast or from the Midwest would take what they used to call the West Coast swing. You'd play San Diego, LA, San Francisco on one road trip. Well, if you're going to rest your superstars, it's not going to be down in LA where it's 75 degrees every night. It's not going to be in San Diego where it's 75 degrees every night. You're going to sit your big boys in the miserable Candlestick Park. So let's take advantage of that. And then it helped that we got some good players. Will Clark.
A few.
Robbie Thompson, yeah. I always look back to the 1987 season when we made it to the playoffs, and Al Rosen pulled off some of the most unbelievable trade deadline deals to this day. We needed help in the pitching staff, so he went down to San Diego and got Dave Dravecki as a starter. Got Craig Lefferts, the left-handed screwball pitcher, for the bullpen. Went to the Pirates, got Don Robinson and Rick Russell. Got Kevin Mitchell from the Padres. I mean, we just loaded up at the trade deadline, and that was one of the best teams I ever played for.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Hunter Pence. In the air, center field. A.J. Pollock has room. Well, if you, sir, and you can still do this right now, if you type in 1982 Giants, those old highlight films they used to make, the little cheesy kind of half-hour highlight, you can still watch those. And it's a young Bob Brenly who steps in. Bob is really expected to contribute this year for the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a soundbite from Frank Robinson. Oh, I really like what Bob can do here for the team. And Champ Summers and rookie Chili Davis, who they think might be a hitter. It's a lot of fun watching those old films. Saw some seats from Candlestick here at AT&T Park. Gregor Blanco, strike one. I remember that as a kid, you'd see the brightly colored turf and those big chain link fences out there, and you'd see the pictures, the films. Wow, that's weird. They grew up in Boston like I did. It's Fenway Park and the whole thing. And where are they playing those games out there? What are they doing? How about this?
Oh, yeah, a little fired up there after the ball game. Yeah, when you don't have a strong arm, you better get rid of it quickly.
Taking them deep.
Oh,
great pull power.
What a bandbox. To this day, I really truly believe had Willie Mays played the majority of his career in Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, where Hank Aaron played, or take your pick of a lot of other ballparks.
900 home runs.
Oh, maybe 1,000. I mean, you had to absolutely shoot it out of a cannon to get that ball out of Candlestick Park to left or left center field. Now, there was a little bit of a wind tunnel in right center where the ball would carry, and Willie Mays actually changed his game playing in Candlestick Park and became more of an opposite field hitter to try to take advantage of that wind tunnel. But if he had played in a more fair ballpark, sky's the limit.
2-2 to Blanco. That is into right, a base hit. Just the second hit for San Francisco, a 2-out single. Brings up Travis Ishikawa, the first baseman. He walked his first time up.
Candlestick Park had an effect on a lot of guys that are still involved in the game of baseball. Matty Williams came up originally as a shortstop. Jose Uribe was injured. They reached down to the minor league level, brought up Matt Williams and stuck him out there at short for a short period of time. And of course, he came back up as the everyday third baseman.
Well, you came up early 80s, 81, 82, and that Giants then were full of really veteran guys. I mean, you had a great group around you. You know, Reggie Smith and Joe Morgan and Johnny LeMaster and Darrell Evans and guys like that.
Doyle Alexander, Jim Barr, Vida Blue.
Dwayne Kuiper.
Yeah, Smoothie.
Right in the booth next to us here. Dave Bergman and Will Venable's dad, Max.
Yeah, Max was my roommate. There's Smoothie, Dwayne Kuiper. Boy, he was on his way to a tremendous career. Still had a very good career, but just an absolutely horrifying knee injury. Got busted up at second base and never reached the levels that I think everybody assumed he was going to. He was a great player.
Blanco takes off. The throw from Montero is almost into center field. A nice job there by Didi to keep Blanco at second. And that's 15 steals now for Gregor Blanco.
I mentioned Blanco, Pence, and Pagan, the three guys you have to worry about when they get on base, even though the Giants don't run a lot, but they too trying to force the issue here a little bit tonight.
Dwayne Kuiper's famous for a lot of things. Longtime Cleveland Indian, and then last 4 or 5 years he played with the Giants. But more than 3,700 career plate appearances. He hit 1 home run.
You know who it was against? Never let him forget it every time I see him. Steve Stone.
Stone Pony.
It was funny when I was playing with Kipe, and I've told this story in the past. We used to play an exhibition game every year on one of our off days, sometimes against San Francisco State, sometimes against San Jose State, sometimes against Santa Clara or Stanford. We went down and played against Stanford down on the farm on an off day one season, and Dwayne Kuiper hit a home run against some freshman pitcher for Stanford. We said they immediately took the kid's scholarship away. I hope you're happy, Kipe.
You kids living in a van down by the river. Under the glove of Colementor, he has time to collect and recover. Throws out Ishikawa, and they strand Blanco to keep the game scoreless through 4. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. We'll see Ender and Ciarte in the 5th. Last night, he found McCovey Cove. Fans catch every strikeout, every game ender, and every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around, weeknights at 7 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Didi Gregorius leads off the 5th against Ryan Vogelsong. Only 3 hits in the ball game so far, all singles. 2 for the Giants, 1 for the Diamondbacks. On a cold and foggy night in San Francisco. Bringing back lots of warm memories for Bob Brenly. Didi walked his first time. When you came up 81 and then 82, you were behind Milt May, right?
Yeah, Milt May and I basically were in a platoon situation. He was a left-handed hitter. I was the right-handed hitter.
What'd you learn from Milt May?
I learned the art of the strategic drop.
Huh?
Well, I learned a lot of very useful things from Milt May, but playing in Candlestick with the swirling winds, he said if a guy is stealing a base and he has a big jump and you have no chance to throw him out, drop the ball. Don't throw it. You know, when you make the exchange from the glove into the bare hand, just let the ball go. Well, I foolishly tried to show him that I could throw a ball right through that wind. And the first time I tried to throw a ball to second base and didn't have a good grip on it, it ended up in right center field. It started at second base, but then the wind got it, and because I didn't have a good grip on the baseball, it had some side English, and the thing just took off for right center field. So the strategic drop became part of my arsenal. If, you know, if Vince Coleman had a huge jump at first base and the wind is whistling and howling and we feel like we can get the hitter at the plate out, yeah, just drop it.
Like having an extra golf ball in your pants. Yeah. Oh, here it is. I found it in this tall grass over here. Milt May played a long time, 15 years in the big leagues, Milt May.
A good left-handed hitter. By the time Milt and I were teammates physically, you know, his body was letting him down from all the wear and tear all those years with the Pirates before he came to the Giants. But, boy, he was just a wealth of information.
3 balls and 2 strikes.
Matter of fact, they're having a night here, and
Milt May night.
Well, no, they should. But the Willie McCovey Award, which is awarded to the player on the team every year that's considered to be the most inspirational player on the team, that's gone through some kind of adversity, as Didi goes down on strikes.
That's the first strikeout for Ryan Vogelsong.
And that last Friday of the regular season, I've been invited to come back here to AT&T Park for Willie McCovey Award ceremony, and I just got a list of the players who are coming back who have won the award previously. Larry Herndon, Darrell Evans, Mike Krukow in the booth next door, Chris Spire, Dave Dravecki, Robbie Thompson, Kurt Manwaring, J.T. Snow, Marvin Bernard, Marquise Grissom, Sean Dunston, Mark Gardner, Ryan Vogelsong, the guy on the mound tonight for the Giants, Buster Posey, Hunter Pence, all more recent winners, but I'm very honored to come back and salute Willie McCovey that particular night and this year's recipient.
Willie McCovey still a presence here all over AT&T Park. Last Colementor strikes out, so Vogelsong, who did not have a strikeout through 4, has 2 to open up the 5th. And it brings up Ender Inciarte. Ender has walked and grounded out. He's 0 for 1. Got 7 hits on the road trip. He's also walked 3 times. His home run into, speaking of Willie McCovey, McCovey Cove last night, the 101st ever hit in there in the history of this ballpark. Back when it was Pac Bell and now AT&T Park. And just the 35th ever hit by a Giants opponent. That's a cool list to be on.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're a 23-year-old rookie.
It was cool that he hit a home run, the first one in 8 games for the Diamondbacks. A real power outage.
And Ender since August 1st hitting .290. That's over a span of 35 games, all starts. Sandoval a couple of steps in on the grass at third. This is the kind of spot where Ender might try to bunt for a base hit and extend that inning with 2 outs. Another game with Ender Inciarte in left field and A.J. Pollock in center with A.J. back in the lineup now. So they think with Ender on the corner, he can really take advantage of both his glove and his arm. He has been since he's been a regular over the second half, one of the best defensive players in all of Major League Baseball. Ryan Vogelsong, 4 innings without a strikeout, strikes out the side in order in the 5th. McCovey Cole, still no score at AT&T Park. Is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. The Willie Mays statue, say hey, just outside AT&T Park on the corner here. And the moon, looks like the glove is ready to catch the moon.
Yeah, about that. Great shot.
Nice shot by our crew here. As we open up the home half of the 5th, shortstop Brandon Crawford, first pitch, he jumps on it, sends it out to right, but Marte is there. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Hold our breaths for a moment right there. The wind blowing out in that direction all night long. Thought that one might carry a little bit farther, but good jump by Marte, able to get back there just shy of the warning track and make the catch.
Super moon up there. Keeping a lid on the offense so far. Just 1 hit for the D-backs, 2 for the Giants, all singles. And here's Vogelsong, the pitcher. Encouraging outing so far for Josh Colmentor. Hard to pitch better than Josh has shown over his last 3 starts. Ever since he showed signs of wearing down in that start at Miami. Look at those numbers. 2-0, a 0.83 ERA in his last 3 starts. Just 11 hits in 21 2/3 innings. 2 walks and 16 strikeouts. And so far, He has worked 4 1/3 scoreless, but he's behind on the pitcher 3-1. Giants come in having won 7 straight home games. Matches their longest home winning streak since April of last year. Angel Pagan, the leadoff man, is on deck. Olmenter strikes out Vogelsong. Second strikeout for Josh, 2 down.
Update from Reno. The Aces put up a 4 spot in the bottom half of the second inning. Omaha answered with 1 run in the 6th. They lead it 4-1. Braden Hagan started that ball game. He's just been replaced by Jess Todd on the mound. Nick Ahmed with a double drove in a couple of runs in that game. Go you Aces.
Dodgers now lead the Padres 2-0 in LA. 6th inning. Herron and Kennedy the starters there. Giants 2.5 back of LA in the race for the NL West. Mentioned Nick Ahmed. We saw Andrew Susac, who was a second-round pick by the Giants in 2011 out of Oregon State. He was the catcher last night. And a guy that looks like he might be part of the future here. He was drafted only 1 spot after Nick Ahmed was drafted by the Braves. Ahmed had another big hit for Reno tonight. Josh Olmenter, a goose egg up there through 5. Cold, foggy, and scoreless by the Bay. Schedule earlier this week. Great weekend matchups against the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Giants. You'll want to check out all the 2015 D-backs season ticket options, which include the weekend plan. With a weekend plan, you'll get tickets to every Saturday and Sunday game, plus opening day against the Giants here, along with other great benefits like exclusive events and exchanges for unused tickets. For more information, dbacks.com/tickets. Join the family in 2015. Dude, that guy's right in front of our broadcast booth, actually.
Can't miss him.
Got some game. There's a guy in front of him eating. I can't figure out. I'm looking right over his shoulder. See that guy there? What's he got?
Just a basket. Hey,
dude.
Looks like strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, it is. A high fly ball to right field that Hunter Pence collects. 6 in a row retired by Vogelsong. Yeah, he's well, he's sharing. That's good.
That's your typical ballpark fare. Strawberry shortcake. Oh, man.
Well, they have the crab sandwich here. The wife is here. Cindy made the trip, and she walked out to center field to. In fact, I think that's why she flew in, just to get the crab sandwich that you get out there in center field. It's crab meat on sourdough bread.
Of course. It's good.
Good snacks here. Miguel Montero.
You can smell the garlic fries all the way down to San Luis Obispo.
So can the Seagulls. Yeah, sometimes depending on the direction of the wind, if you're walking in this ballpark at the wrong moment, bam, it just knocks you right out.
Hits you right in the face.
Yep. Whoa. Well, that's a great place to be in San Francisco. You ever go to Sears near the hotel over there?
Yeah.
That's a landmark.
Yes, it is.
It just crushed a brunch there this morning. And then there's the old chocolate. Up the middle, backhanded by Panik, spins and throws. Rookie Joe Panik. The pride of Yonkers, New York, 2 down.
Well, he knew the runner at the plate, knew he had a little bit of extra time, took about 5 or 6 steps to kind of right himself and at least get his upper body turned in the direction of his throw, and then strongly across the diamond to Ishikawa for the out.
You know, he kind of looked like Jeter there. He grew up a huge Jeter fan from Yonkers, New York, only miles from Yankee Stadium. And Joe Panik says he has always been a Derek Jeter fan, watching his approach and his swing. Panik says he kind of prides himself on being that type of hit. Trumbo has walked and fly now. Right by beautiful Yonkers Raceway. As you take the Deegan in there to Yankee Stadium. Coming off the Merritt, the Hutch, the Cross County, and the Sawmill. All those parkways. Stay off the Cross Bronx. We'll be there for a week.
A little frustration there from Mark Trumbo. Finally did get a fastball inside. He so rarely sees this pitch anymore, but got a heater actually off the plate inside. Tried to lift one in the air to left field. His last at bat in the 4th inning, leading off, he hit a screamer to left, unfortunately right at Gregor Blanco.
Joe Panik one more time. That's 8 in a row set down by Vogelsong, who so far is working on a 1-hit shutout. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Buster Posey, how about those numbers last 17 games? He'll hit second in the 6th. September 28th, that's when the Fox Sports Arizona Fan Express, presented by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is headed to the ballpark. Get on board by stopping by this month's participating Fry's Food Store in Flagstaff, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the bus to and from the game. September 28th. All the info you need is at foxsportsarizona.com. Joe Panik leads off the home half of the 6th. No score here. A pitcher's duel. Josh Colmenter and Ryan Vogelsong. So far, Colmenter's given up only 2 hits, both singles. He's got 2 strikeouts. Panik has popped up and walked 0 for 1. Joe Panik recalled from AAA Fresno right after the middle of June. He has started 50 of the Giants' 70 games at second base since he arrived here, and he pulls that one down the right field line and foul. It's in the cove, but it's outside of kayak range. Dave.
Way to go, Dave.
Super Dave. Dave has a message, apparently, which we won't see.
Dave probably has a sponsor, but yeah, much like the Jake Lamb drive to right field earlier in the ballgame, Panik got just a little bit out in front. Body language from Josh Colmenter may have helped. Just foul down that right field line.
Well, he is a line drive hitter. And Kirk Gibson mentioned before the ballgame that they do like the way that Panik has pull power. He can, kind of like Ender Inciarte or Didi Gregorius, he can turn on one as a left-hand batter and yank it down that right field line. 2-2 now.
Got off to a little bit of a slow start, especially here at home. Was hitting only 189 after his first 13 games here at AT&T Park, but has figured it out since. His last 13 home games, he's hit over 400.
Keeps that one the other way, just in front of Tim Flannery down there. He's hit safely in 11 of his last 12. 29th player selected overall in the 2011 draft. He was drafted as a shortstop. 80 pitches now for Colmenter, 47 strikes. And he'll keep working to Panik. Pride of Homer, Michigan. No long sleeve undershirt for Josh Colmenter here on a cold night in San Francisco.
Warm night in Homer, Michigan.
He gets Panik to strike out. That's 3 strikeouts for Colmenter. 1 away in the 6th. And here's Posey.
That changeup has been his best weapon again tonight. It usually is. His ability to command the fastball and then use that changeup when he's ahead in the count or even when he's behind in the count.
Only 2 hits, both singles through 5 1/3. He has walked 2, struck out 3. Posey 0 for 2. 5 in a row retired by Colmenter. Oh.
Just a devastating straight changeup. That arm action, everything about it tells a hitter fastball. The rotation on the pitch. You swing at it and the ball just never gets there.
No secrets with Josh, but still it's hard to barrel him up. 2-1. Up the middle and into center, a base hit. Posey 0 for 4 last night. He's on board with a 1-out single.
A little bit more of a controlled swing that time from Posey. For me, last night and his first couple of at-bats in this game today, looked like he was trying to leave earth. He was really trying to generate power against Josh Colmenter. That swing he just shortened up a little bit, guided it right back up the middle of the field for his first hit of the series.
Pablo Sandoval hit by a pitch in the 2nd, grounded out in the 4th. He was actually not hit by the pitch. It, in fact, never came near him, but he was given first base. That's a good looking swing.
First pitch change up again. Sandoval's a notorious first ball fastball hitter. Show him something that looks like a fastball and he will swing at it.
Ain't broke.
Don't fix it. Throw him another one. I mean, Josh may elect to throw a high 4-seam fastball here out of the zone, but that's a dangerous proposition with a hacker like Sandoval. He swung at pitches over his head before.
Well, he doubled him up. You want to triple him up?
Absolutely. Good for me.
On the ground, right to Didi. Aaron Hill, Mark Trumbo, they roll it, and Colementor is through 6. A double play behind Josh Colementor sends us to the 7th inning here in San Francisco. It's 0-0. The D-backs. Six. He's given up only 3 hits, all singles. He has walked 2, struck out 3. That makes him one half of our APS Energy All-Stars. No score, only 4 combined hits as we head to the 7th. So the starting pitchers get the nod.
Yeah, great job by Josh Colementor settling in. He's scattered 3 hits and 2 walks so far in the ballgame. And for Ryan Vogelsong, you never know what it's going to take to motivate a pitcher. He's retired 13 of the last 14 batters he's faced since Tim Lincecum got up in the bullpen back in the 2nd inning. Sometimes you look over your shoulder, you see a relief pitcher warming up early, and you tell yourself, nope, not tonight. I'm not going to let it happen.
8 straight set down by Vogelsong as Pollock leads off the 7th. One hopper right to Crawford. Well, here's the guy that has the only D-backs hit tonight. Jake Lamb, a single in the 2nd. A check swing, single at that. Vogelsong in that sense has been his own worst enemy. Diamondbacks have had 4 walks, but so far just 1 hit. Vogelsong at 90 pitches, 54 for strikes. 0-1 on Lamb. You never quite know what you're going to get with Vogelsong. He was winless in July. 0-4 in 5 starts. But then had a good month of August. 3-1 in 6 starts last month. He Pitched a 2-hit complete game at the Mets on August 1st. Gave up only 3 hits in 7 against the White Sox. Got his 8th win of the year 2 starts ago. Beat Milwaukee here at AT&T Park. 7 innings of 4-hit ball. He struck out 7, but then in his last start at Coors Field gave up 4 homers. 8 runs all earned, 10 hits in only 5 innings. That was Wednesday at Colorado. So it's been a mixed bag. Giants this year are 14 up and 14 down when Ryan Vogelsong starts the game. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jake Lamb. Alfredo Marte is next. That bullpen is busy. Oliver Perez, the left-hander. Daniel Hudson, the right-hander.
They just began to throw. They just made their way down to that bullpen down the right field line and just began tossing in the event that we get down to Josh Colementer's spot this inning with a chance to score some runs.
Lamb shoots that out into left field. That gets down and rolls to the wall. Jake Lamb takes the turn, and he is in at second. The rookie has his 3rd major league double. He's got both D-backs hits tonight.
A real nice approach that time, too. Just a nice, quick, abbreviated swing. Get the barrel on the ball as quickly as you can, and this time it's on a fastball away. Very short follow through. And that ball splits the gap in left center for a double.
Lamb at second with 1 out for Marte, who's 0 for 2. Affelt and Machi, they were throwing last night. They'll get cranked up down there with Vogelsong knocking on the door of 100 pitches. Marte trying to get that run home from second. And he yanks it into left, hits it right at Blanco. Almost overran it. 2 down.
Well, that ball was struck well. Blanco never had a real good read on that ball. Got a late jump and then almost overran it in the gap in left center field. He actually has to reach back to catch the ball. That looked like trouble off the bat.
Once again, it comes down to the D-backs needing a big 2-out hit. Gregorius has walked and struck out 0 for 1. Didi is 3 for 24 on the road trip with 3 RBIs. Pitcher spot is due up next, and Jordan Pacheco is in the on-deck circle. Josh Colementer so far 6 scoreless, trying to get him a run. All on a strike. Another thing with Josh to be concerned about, he's thrown 6 innings tonight. So he has now thrown 65 more innings than he did last year. So you'll watch those pitch counts. Pitch number 100 for Vogelsong on the way. Two balls and a strike. I mean, that's a big jump from last year when he worked exclusively out of the bullpen. 65 more innings than he threw last season.
We'd have to ask him, but I would venture a guess that Josh will tell you that the innings that he's thrown this year, even though it's over 60 more than he threw last year, have put less stress on his arm than possibly pitching 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 3 days in a row out of the bullpen. Getting his 4 days off between starts, he knows he's going to be asked to go out there and throw 80, 90, 100 pitches or more as a starting pitcher, whereas a reliever, you might pitch 5 days in a row and throw 30 or 40 pitches each time out.
And he threw so many high leverage innings working all those extra inning games last year. Up there without a net in a sense. There's the walk to Gregorius. So the Diamondbacks have runners on first and second, 2 down, and Pacheco will hit for Colementer.
That's one of those walks, as Bruce Bochy looks like he's going to make a move here, but I guarantee you the Giants offense, they're not upset that Didi Gregorius drew that walk because it gets Josh Colmenter out of the ball game, and they'd rather face anybody than Josh Colmenter tonight.
Bochy going to go out and have a conversation with Ryan Vogelsong. Machie and Effelt have stopped throwing, and Bochy will make the move here. He'll take the baseball, and Vogelsong will exit after 6 2/3 scoreless innings, but he is responsible for 2 base runners. Diamondbacks with a 7th inning threat. We are scoreless in San Francisco. By Arco, Josh Colmenter, last 4 starts, a 0.65 ERA.
And I'll tell you, how good was that changeup tonight? He got guys to alter their swing. That's how good the changeup was. You never see Pablo Sandoval take a swing like that, but just tried to push that ball into play, grounded into an easy 6-4-3 double play. Josh was tremendous tonight.
Trying to get him a run here with a 7th inning threat. Jordan Pacheco will face the new pitcher, Gene Machie, who leads the Giants with now 64 relief appearances, a 1.92 ERA. He has retired the last 8 batters he has faced, right-hand hitters this year. Just 5 for the last 49 against him as Pacheco steps in.
Machie, another guy that relies heavily on an off-speed pitch. He throws a splitter for his changeup. It's a real good one. He'll throw it about half the time.
Jake Lamb is the runner at second. Didi Gregorius at first. Jordan Pacheco hits for Colmenter. 221 on the year with the Rockies and the D-backs. Pacheco, as he steps in here, 4 hits in his last 28 at bats. 2 on and 2 out.
It's imperative that Jake Lamb really work hard to get a good secondary lead out there at second base. The Giants are giving him a lot of room, at least they are right now. I get the feeling Glenn Sherlock's going to wave him home on just about anything hit to the outfield.
On the ground is short. Crawford. Ishikawa keeps a foot on the bag, and the Diamondbacks strand 2, stretch time in AT&T Park. Still no score. Steike with you. Time to see how Leo Gilmartin did, selecting our AT&T fan photo. And the winner is Sharon with a throwback hat.
Oh, that's stretching it, Leo. I mean, I'm all for the purple vault, and the old school hat, and all that, but that's a little bit of a reach. That's a backslide, Leo.
All right. He shanked one into the woods. Thanks to all of you who tweeted in your fan photo. Sharon, it's a good picture. It's
yeah.
Not great. Brought to us by AT&T. Our own director, Mitch Riggin, submitted a photo. Was not selected by Leo. Mitch thankfully wearing a belt here as he recreates the catch by Dwight Clark during our visit to Candlestick Park earlier this week. Looks just like Dwight Clark there.
A lot like Dwight Clark.
And we saw Joe Montana here at the ball game last night. Oliver Perez will open up the 7th against Hunter Pence on in relief of Josh Colmenter, who worked 6 scoreless innings and gave up only 3 hits, all singles. Perez, his 63rd appearance this year. Pence has reached on a fielder's choice and flied out. It was eerie how much Mitch looked like Dwight Clark there. Actually, I think that the camera should have been from the other side because the famous pictures from that end zone shot. As I even try to direct Mitch's photos, which he loves.
Well, we were commenting earlier when we initially saw that photo about Dwight Clark himself when he made the catch. His reaction was like he was playing flag football in the neighborhood or something, you know?
Refreshing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Guy makes a catch like that today. He's still dancing.
Oh, he's still dancing.
Three and 2 on Pence, who was 0 for 3 last night. Hitless tonight. Just had an 18-game hitting streak snapped on Sunday at Detroit. He hit .384 during the streak. Here's the 3-2. Leadoff man aboard for the Giants in the 7th.
Gregor Blanco making his way to the plate. Almost a guaranteed sac bunt upcoming. He's got 5 sacrifice bunts this season. Lefty on lefty. I would imagine he's going to try to move Pence up to second base here against Oliver Perez.
Blanco singled and stole a base his last time up. He's now hit safely in 12 of his last 13 games. Lamb will come in on the grass at third. Jeremy Affeldt headed back out to the Giant bullpen. He'll start throwing again. Blanco shows bunt but pulls back. It's a ball, 1-0.
Well, normally you wouldn't give up an out to get a left-handed hitter to the plate against a left-handed pitcher, but keep in mind Bruce Bochy has 9, count them, 9 right-handed pinch hitters available off that bench.
He could pinch hit 9 times. That one off himself. 1-1. Blanco's had a good series. Had a couple of hits last night. Scored a run. Actually, it took one of those hits away. The ball that was hit to Mark Trumbo in the 3rd was changed later after the ball game to an error. There's the strike, 1-2. Ryan Gorman says strike.
A little cut fastball. Blanco thought it was off the plate away. We'll get another look at it here, and indeed it was off the plate away.
Still bunt with 2 strikes.
I haven't really seen enough of the Giants. I would assume so, but we'll see what happens here. Nope, no sign of a bunt that time.
Foul back. Oh, guy with a glove just badly misplayed that one. Gonna bring your glove to the game, you got to make the play.
Got to make the play.
That's where you're out of excuses. There is that Hunter Pence hopping back toward the first base bag there as he delivered that one to Blanco. So Pence not really getting much of a lead at all.
That foul ball got a big piece of Brian Gorman behind the plate, right on the right side of the mast there, rattled his cage.
That is a fair ball up the right field line. Pence is flying around third. Flannery will wave him in. Marte cannot pick the ball up, and the Giants lead it 1-0. They send Pence all the way in from first. Marte just simply could not pick the baseball up, and it's 1-0 San Francisco.
Fastball inside. Miggy wanted it away, and Blanco just rips it by Mark Trumbo down into that right field area. There's a section of stands that kind of jut out near the field. Ball hit that area, and Marte just overran the ball. You'll see as it hits the side right here and kicks back toward the field. Marte took a peek up to see what was going on. Unfortunately, he took a second peek, and that's when he missed the baseball.
14th double for Blanco, an RBI double, now 1-0. So the leadoff walk bites Oliver Perez, and here's Travis Ishikawa, the first baseman. That's another run scored for Hunter Pence. Came into the ball game leading the National League in hits and second in runs scored. McCarthy to the mound. No Giants player either in New York or San Francisco history has ever led the league in both runs and hits, and Pence has a chance to do that this year. He's a close second to the Nationals' Anthony Rendon for the league lead in runs scored, already leads in hits. And there it is. There's only one back of Rendon. A walk and a double so far for Perez. He's behind on Ishikawa 1-0. How ironic is it that Blanco, who for most of that at bat was trying to give himself up, ends up with an RBI double for the game's first run.
Sometimes it's strange how things work out. Really changes the rest of the inning here. I assumed that Bruce Bochy was going to reach into his bag of reserves and get some of those right-handed pinch hitters in the game. Perhaps for Blanco, certainly for Ishikawa, maybe for Brandon Crawford, but now with a 1-0 lead and a bullpen that he has a lot of faith in, he's content to let his lefties take their at-bats.
Dodgers winning right now, 3-0 over the Padres in the 8th inning in LA. So the Giants need this one. 2.5 games behind the Dodgers for the lead in the NL West. They're launching the scoreboard here. Giants making a run. They've won 10 of their last 13. They will host Los Angeles here this weekend. Ishikawa waves at that one, and that's the first out in the 7th.
Good breaking ball low and away from Oliver Perez, just leading Ishikawa right out of the strike zone.
Shortstop Brandon Crawford steps in. He's 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied out. Crawford had something of a mandate from the Giants this spring. He had to start doing better against left-hand pitching, or he was going to sit against most lefties. And under 200 against left-handers last year. And for the most part, he has. He's done well this year against left-hand pitching. Duffy is on deck. He would hit for the pitcher. Evan Marshall going to start getting warmed up in the Diamondback bullpen. Crawford this year hitting just under 300 against left-hand pitchers, in fact, including 3 home runs. There are the platoon splits on the Giants shortstop. Of course, while he's improved against lefties, he's now hitting about 200 against righties. So, I don't know how much of an advantage that is. The shimmy and the shake and the whole thing fouled back. Crawford grew up a Giants fan. Speaking of Candlestick Park, we've talked about the old ballpark all night long. Crawford's dad had season tickets at Candlestick on the third base side, where he could heartily boo Bob Brenly.
So it was him.
Yeah, they were there at all the games. The Crawford family grew up right in the area. High chopper over the head of Perez. There's going to be nobody home, and Crawford reaches. Trumbo wandered way off the bag to get to that one. Perez slow to cover, and Crawford's aboard.
Another look here as Trumbo shovels back to Oliver Perez. Realized he had no idea where the base was when he got over there, so he turns around and tries to apply the tag to Crawford. Unfortunately, it looked like he got the foot down on the base before Ollie could apply the tag.
Conference time for the D-backs. And now stepping in to hit for the pitcher is Matt Duffy. Cal State Long Beach, an 18th round pick 2 years ago. Blanco is in at third. Crawford aboard at first. And this is Matt Duffy. 200 on the year. Fewer than 50 major league plate appearances.
Watch a squeeze. A little paranoid when you've got a lot of guys available off the bench to pinch hit, and you go with a middle infielder.
Be a sign.
I'm not saying that Matt Duffy's not a good hitter, but my first instinct is watch out for the squeeze button.
Kirk Gibson going to have to make the move now, and it'll go to Evan Marshall. So a Rocky 7th for Oliver Perez. He leaves trailing 1-0, responsible for a pair of base runners. And Evan Marshall is in back after this. As a kid, remember they were going to move the Giants to St. Petersburg. That's originally why they built the Trop. The Trop down by Tampa Bay. And they thought they might become the Tampa Bay Giants. And so the Giant fans used to make those signs, hey, keep them here. That's young Brandon Crawford with his dad's seats along the third base side at Candlestick.
How about that?
And here he is now playing for the Giants years later. He's on first with Blanco. The runner at third, and a Bay Area native, Evan Marshall, on for the 49th time. Got to meet Evan's mom and dad. They picked him up, actually, at the hotel. He's sleeping in his old room at home.
That's a good deal.
Good deal. Posters and the pennants on the walls. Getting some home cooking this weekend. He did not go. Matt Duffy is in there now. It's 1-0.
Duffy's showing bunt wasn't a suicide squeeze because the runner was not coming down the line from third base. He may just be attempting to move Crawford into scoring position for the top of the Giants order.
Duffy was a hitter in Double-A this year. He's only 23 years old, played almost 100 games at Double-A Richmond, hit .332. So he can swing it a little bit. Not a whole lot of power, only 3 homers. But this is how the Diamondbacks will defend it.
You see the corners charging, and Evan Marshall from the mound will be coming straight in to field a potential bunt. And obviously, if Duffy does bunt, your first duty as a defender is check that runner at third base.
Down the right field line, that is big trouble. Blanco will score. Here comes Crawford. They'll stop him at third. Giants lead it 2-0. A pinch RBI double for the rookie Matt Duffy.
That's a nice approach by the youngster. Gets a fastball up and out over the plate and stayed right on it. Alfredo Marte with a real shallow line toward that ball, just cannot catch up to it. Now we roll around to the top of the order. The Diamondbacks will be forced to bring their infield in.
You've got Crawford at third, Duffy at second. 2 runs are in, and here's Angel Pagan, the leadoff man. Pagan singled in the third. He's 1 for 3. Coming off a 4-hit night last night, 305 on the year. Diamondbacks infielders with their toes on the grass. There's the strike on 1. Pagan missed almost 2 months with back inflammation earlier this year. He has hit just over 300 since he's been back in the lineup. Marshall's ahead 0-2. That one gets behind Montero. Crawford scores, and it's 3-0.
Looked like that might have been a cross-up.
And Duffy is in at third. Wild pitch.
I think it was. Miggy initially reacted as if he thought that ball was going to stay away from Pagan. Then it took the break, got underneath the glove between the legs of Brian Gorman all the way to the backstop.
So it's 3-0 Giants. Crawford home, Duffy at third, 1-2 on Pagan. 3 of the first 4 Giants in the inning. Reach base, Pence walk, Blanco double after Ishikawa struck out. Crawford had the infield single. And all 3 who reached have scored. With Duffy, who had the pinch double, standing on third.
Talk about an emergency swing. Pagan thought that ball was inside off the plate, but with all the tailing action that Evan Marshall has, he didn't want to take the chance that it was going to end up on the inside corner. So at the last instant, just pulls the knob of the bat right in against his chest and fouls that one off to the third base side.
Get off me, ball. Another 2-2. Off the fist. Shallow fly to left. Inciarte. Here comes Duffy, and Ender throws it a mile high, and it's 4-0 Giants. That was really shallow in left field. Ender had a pretty good chance to get Duffy there. But the 4th run is across here in the San Francisco 7th.
Yeah, he actually got behind the ball, looked pretty good for a chance to throw the runner out at home plate until he let the ball go. Yeah, that's something I know the Diamondbacks have been working hard with Ender Inciarte, trying to correct some throwing mechanics to get that ball on more of a line. Really no need to hit the cutoff man there. There is no trail runner, but you do have to get it to your catcher.
Joe Panic. Two balls and 2 strikes. Called strike 3. Ryan Gorman rings up Panic. That ends the 7th, but the Giants get 4 to take a 4-0 lead. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Inciarte, Hill, and Montero top of the order in the Arizona 8th. Ryan Vogelsong and Josh Colmenter, two starting pitchers, both outstanding tonight. But the Giants get the D-backs bullpen, Oliver Perez and Evan Marshall, for 4 in the 7th. And now as we start the 8th, Jeremy Affeldt is on, the left-hander, with a 4-0 lead. He's been pretty hittable despite that 2.54 ERA. He has given up 8 earned runs in his last 11 games. Ciarte draws Sandoval in from third. Last 12 outings for Jeremy Affeldt. Opponents are hitting almost 400 against him. Ender 0 for 2 with a walk. Addison Reed got to get some work in. Not many save opportunities for Addy lately. Affeldt is underneath. Underhand toss. They get in Ciarte.
Well, we're looking for some good news, and to find it, we had to go to Reno, where the Aces defeat the Omaha Storm Chasers 4-2 tonight. Braden Hagen, 6 strong innings. Mentioned Nick Ahmed with an RBI base hit.
Trying to win the Coast League, so we're all tied now at a game apiece. Aaron Hill 0 for 3. Sergio Romo running down to the Giant bullpen. He's going to start getting heated up. D-backs so far, just 2 hits, both by Jake Lamb. A check swing infield single in the 2nd, and a double to the gap in left center in the 7th. Ball and 2 strikes on Aaron Hill. Montero's on deck. Series and road trip finale day game tomorrow for you at high noon. Randall Delgado and Jake Peavy. Looking for some offense. D-backs 1 run on 4 hits last night. 4 runs on 2 hits tonight, and Aaron Hill looks at strike 3. By the way, we showed you our director, Mitch Riggin, earlier. He went down to Candlestick Park and tried to recreate the catch. So we thought, just for perspective, you know, Meg Buchan could have played the part of Everson Walls right there. And there's Mitch, our director. Eerily similar, I think. Oh, yeah. Miguel Montero. Of course, the Niners played at Candlestick for a year. Before that, Kezar Stadium in San Francisco. Easy play for Crawford, and Affeldt works a 1-2-3 8th inning. Diamondbacks trailing 4-0. San Fran got all 4 of its runs in the 7th inning. Our Subway in-game box score.
Not a lot of offense for either team tonight, but the Giants were able to bunch theirs together there in that 7th inning to push across the 4 runs. Been a really quiet night for the Diamondbacks offense once again. Jake Lamb with both hits.
They kept Panic hitless, Sandoval hitless. Addison Reed, just his 2nd appearance on this road trip, his 56th of the year. But Addison has not had a save. Hadn't had a save opportunity since August 29th. In fact, he's had only 2 saves since August the 23rd. And he's on to work the bottom of the 8th. Buster Posey, Pablo Sandoval, and Hunter Pence, 3, 4, and 5. Posey singled his last time up, 1 for 3. Center field. A.J. Pollock broke back, now comes in right center field, and he's got it for the first out. Chevron upcoming pitching matchup. Don't forget, it's a noon broadcast, high noon, on Fox Sports Arizona. Series and road trip finale. Randall Delgado in the new 6-man rotation against a relatively new Giant, Jake Peavy. Came over from the Red Sox.
A little celebration on the field before the ball game today, recognizing Jake Peavy and Tim Hudson for recording their 2,000th strikeouts, both of them this year as a member of the Giants.
Pablo Sandoval gets that one high in the air, right field. Marte looks up and it's off the wall. Pollock plays the carom wonderfully off that brick wall out there, but Sandoval is in there with his 25th double. He gave that one a ride. It got up in that wind, but you just have to hit it too far to that portion of the ballpark to get it out of here.
First pitch, cement mixer slider, just never took the break, stayed right in the middle of the plate for Sandoval. And you mentioned it, nice job by A.J. Pollock to hustle over from center field, that high wall in right center field. A lot of different surfaces out there. There's bricks, there's chain link, there's padding, there's scoreboards. A.J. right there to play the carom perfectly.
A reaction from Addison Reed, who thought that might get out of here. It stays in the yard, a 1-out double. Here's Pence. Sergio Romo. Pence walked and scored his last time. This is a guy who has not been a very effective hitter against the Diamondbacks this year, Hunter Pence. 14 games versus Arizona. He's hit barely over 140. 293 on the year, leading the league in hits. Against the Diamondbacks, not so much. Just 1 homer and 3 RBIs. 2-1.
Hunter Pence has found himself a real good landing spot here in San Francisco. Obviously, you just watch his game. He's not a cookie cutter ball player. He doesn't do normal things that you see from other major league players. Just look at the way he wears his pants, for crying out loud, above his knee.
He's not a cookie cutter person.
No, and this is a city that embraces those kind of personalities. I think he's a great fit here with the Giants.
Bounce to first, Trumbo well off the bag. They're going to have to hustle, and Pence beats it out. Little too lackadaisical right there, and the Diamondbacks get burned. Pence runs well, and he got up the line to beat that one out.
Addison Reed chose to take one more step before putting his foot on the base, and that's all the opening that Hunter Pence needed to beat him to the bag right there.
So here's Blanco, who's had 2 hits, including an RBI double. He scored a run and stolen a base. Eighth hit for the Giants, who lead it 4-zip. Blanco's now hit safely in 12 of his last 13 games. Batting over .370 during that span. 9 extra base hits and 10 RBIs. Gutierrez joins Romo in the Giant bullpen. These guys look like a before and after picture.
Which one of those guys is getting double meal now?
Well, Romo spends all his money on fashion, clearly. Those socks and those shoes. I mean, he's a fashionista down there. He wears some jewelry as well. Diamondbacks in the ninth will have Mark Trumbo, A.J. Pollock, and Jake Lamb, 4, 5, and 6. Lamb has the only 2 D-backs hits tonight. Two and 2. Hey, fans, follow every D-backs game through season's end with the MLB.com at Bat app. It's the #1 app for live baseball. On your smartphone or tablet, you'll get all kinds of stuff, live look-ins, replay reviews, score stats, the MLB.TV game of the day, and a whole lot more. Download at Bat on the App Store or visit dbacks.com/mobile. 2-2 to Blanco. Did you wear any jewelry, anything when you were playing? An earring? Figured I'd take a shot. A chain?
No, I mean, back in the day, you couldn't wear exposed jewelry. The umpires would stop the game and send the trainer out there to take necklaces or bracelets or anything guys happen to have on. That would just not fly back in the day. They would stop the game and make you take it off.
Well, what happened along the line somewhere?
I don't know.
Hard to say.
I mean, it sounds silly, but for me, it is a little bit of a safety issue. We've seen guys wearing hubcaps around, chains around their neck. You slide into a base, you could knock a tooth out with one of those things.
Along the left field line, Inciarte near the Giant bullpen, right behind Romo, makes the throw, and the runners hold up. Ender Inciarte, when he threw that ball, was on the mound right with Sergio Romo. Could have thrown it right to the catcher. We talked about this last night, those Giant bullpens here.
Mound's on field level. He actually steps up the back of the mound again. This time makes a strong, accurate throw right to the cutoff man. That Sandoval slammed on the brakes, but at least it did give Jake Lamb the opportunity to cut it and possibly throw to second if Hunter Pence tried to advance.
A rare opportunity for an outfielder to throw it off the mound while making the play. Ishikawa 0 for 2. He walked in the second. Struck out his last time up. Ishikawa signed with the Giants near the end of April after he started this season in Pittsburgh. They parted ways a couple of weeks into the year. Spent 71 games with the Giants AAA team in Fresno. And has been up here about a month or so. And up while Brandon Belt has been out with the lingering concussion and vision problems. They're not sure when he's going to be back. They had hoped it would be very soon. And every time you try to track his rehab progress, it's awfully hard with concussions and everything that's involved there to know exactly when he can make it back. There's a strike, 1-2. Dodger game is final. They beat the Padres 4-0. And so the Giants need this one to stay 2.5 back. Seagull is beginning to get a little impatient. They're circling overhead. The smell of garlic fries wafts in from across the bay. Off the fist, a little shallow flare along the right field line. That's going to drop, and it does. Sandoval scores. Pence is in at third. 5-0. Well, the last two Giant batters hit balls right near each bullpen mound. One for an out. That one lands in fair territory for an RBI.
Right in on the knuckles of Ishikawa. Just a little floater out there in no man's land.
You. Pence at third, Ishikawa at first. Brandon Crawford. And Stites throwing in the Diamondback bullpen.
Even though Addison Reed just in there to get an inning of work, you don't want to overextend him to the point where if indeed there would be a save opportunity tomorrow that he would be unable to take the ball. So with that in mind, Stites starting to crank it up down that right field bullpen.
Crawford singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Down the left field line and right into the glove of Romo on the mound. They just can't stay away from these bullpen mounds. Nice catch. Coming at you.
Right on the rubber.
Keeps that one in front. 2-2 now. A little Brandon Crawford. This was Brandon back in the day we showed you earlier at Candlestick Park. Grew up a Giant fan. Kind of had the same hair back then.
Probably has the same scabs on his knee right now that he had as a little child.
Grew up in the area. Dad had season tickets to Giant games. Trumbo drops it, picks it up, and tags the bag. That ends the inning. Giants get one more, and as we go to the ninth, they lead it 5-0. sports coverage you won't find anywhere else. You'll get reaction from the clubhouse here tonight. Greg Morgan on John Abraham's possible retirement, and Nick Wilson doing his best to make Arizona fans forget about All-American running back Kadeem Carey. All that and more, Fox Sports Arizona.com. Sergio Romo is on for the ninth with a 5-0 lead. Mark Trumbo, A.J. Pollock, and Jake Lamb 4, 5, and 6 in the Diamondback ninth. Dodgers beat the Padres 4-0. Giants have to have this one to stay 2.5 back, with the Dodgers set to come in here this weekend. And once again, the Giants have turned in a great pitching effort. Ryan Vogelsong, not great certainly, walked 5, but gave up only 2 hits. So for Bruce Bochy, his team came into the ball game having won 7 straight at home, and they have won most of those games with their starting pitching. Giants starters had put up a 1.06 ERA in their last 8 games here at AT&T Park, and now they're working on a 2-hit shutout. With Romo trying to close it out. If they hang on, it'll be their 11th win in their last 14 games. Two balls and 2 strikes.
4 pitches, 4 sliders from Romo. Missed with the first 2, just continued to throw it, except he scooted it over on the other side of the plate and got 2 strikes on the inside corner with his slider. And this is where occasionally he'll try to sneak a fastball by a hitter. Kind of lulls you to sleep, throwing breaking ball after breaking ball after breaking ball. I think another slider coming right here. He uses his fastball sparingly.
There's the slider. There's the strikeout. One way. Chaz Roberts' air conditioning cool play of the game. One of the best defensive plays we've seen tonight was from a fan. Right in the middle of that mosh pit.
All kinds of distractions. Kept his eye on the ball.
Chaz Roberts' air conditioning cool play of the game. Brought his glove and made the play. A.J. Pollock. Ball dude here in San Fran. And a ball dudette.
It's a tight knit fraternity. The ball dudes and dudettes.
Oh, the doo-dah-day. He did not go, Tony Randazzo. Oh, wow, did he ever go? Well, AJ still alive up there, 2-2. They'll take it down 5-0 in the ninth.
Make it hurt.
Running around a shortstop, Crawford. 2 down. Well, here's the man who has the only 2 Diamondback hits tonight, Jake Lamb. A check swing, infield single in the second. And a really well hit double to the gap in left center in the 7th. Diamondback Live pregame show tomorrow comes your way at noon on Fox Sports Arizona. Day game on Getaway Day tomorrow. Randall Delgado and Jake Peavy in the series and the road trip finale. A ball and a strike. 4 more games left with the Giants this year. 1 more tomorrow and then 3 back home at Chase Field. Behind Yuri De La Rosa, you see Randall Delgado. Tomorrow's starter in the new 6-man rotation. There he is. A strike away. Ball game. Well, 4 Giant pitchers combine on a 2-hit shutout, and they take this one 5-0. So the Diamondbacks have now lost 5 in a row. They are 2-7 on the 10-game road trip, and 1-6 in their last 7 against these Giants.
This is very reminiscent of when the Diamondbacks went to D.C. to play against the Nationals, who were just on an unbelievable roll at that particular time. The Giants are doing the same thing. Their 8th straight home win. They've outscored their opponents 52-12 in their last 8 games.
San Francisco leads the season series 10-5 so far. And the Giants have now won 11 of their last 14, 8 straight at home, and they stay 2.5 games behind the Dodgers for the NL West lead. Diamondback Live postgame show is next on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs drop this one, only 2 hits tonight. Giants win.